Wait, okay.
Now we are live. Good morning. It is Social Surge with Fly and Mo. Sam's Fly today. Fly is actually on her way to a wedding in Connecticut. And so we have a special guest on the show today. Very excited to have her here.
I'm so exciid, Mo. And Fly is actually actively flying. I don't know if she can hear us, but you have big shoes to fill today. I woke up early. I was so excited and nervous, and this is my favorite morning show every Tuesday and Thursday.
My
favorite group chat.
Yes. Yes. Favorite. We have the best. We have the best group chat. We need to make T-shirts just with the group chat name. All right. So it is Social Surge with Fly Mo. I'm Mo Regalado. Over here is my special guest, Miss Allison Weiss. Allison, where are you tuning in from today?
Beaming in from Chicago near the Magnificent Mile. I am here for the MHI, which is the Manufactured Housing Institute's Leadership Conference, which is a first time for me. At the same time, we've got a ton of friends at ULI's fall meeting in San Francisco, SIOR in Louisville, Kentucky. So it is conference season, and it was so hard to pick, but this is a special one, and I'll start chatting more about that next week, but there's some exciting news coming in my world, but having fun, enjoying Chicago.
Very, very exciting. Good morning, Regalado Real Estate. Thanks for joining us over on the gram. We got Jonathan Papica also joining us over on the gram, and Lisa Vidal. I hope I'm saying your last name right. I apologize. It could be Vidal. Anyway, Lisa's joining us over on the gram too. Vidal. So thank you so much. So Allison is joining me today, and we are something we've actually brought up quite a bit here on Social Surge. It is our best person ever. We miss you, beautiful Fly. Fly's joining us. Fly's actually probably joining us from the air right now.
I love it.
On her way, like I said, on her way to a wedding. So we have talked about Miss Allison Weiss Touchpoints. I actually brought this up months ago, back in May, when Alice and I shared the stage at SIOR Spring Conference in Las Vegas. And she very specifically talked about those touch points. And before we get into all of that, Allison, kind of give us a little bit about your background for anybody who, if you don't know Allison, like, what are you even doing with your life, right? So.
Awesome. So I am 12 years in commercial real estate. I have always been a commercial real estate people person. So I come at the industry with really a national lens of hiring and recruiting trends all across the country, across all tranches of the industry, from brokerage, the debt and equity capital markets, CRE tech, prop tech, investor, owner, developers, and really every nook and cranny in between. And because of that, because LinkedIn specifically has been such an intimate part of my recruiting career, I probably started using LinkedIn a little bit sooner than others, and have always just been a student of this idea of personal branding, social media. And Mo and Fly and I got together and met due to the CREI community, and met in person, I think a total of like 2, maybe 3 times, but just have incredible friendship and love. Just love the space, love commercial real estate, love the people. And that's where I'm coming from.
We really do actually have like a real special, I think we have a special community, particularly when we're talking about CREI Summit, and we're talking about just those connections that you make when you get the opportunity to meet in real life. And it's, Fly and I talk about this all the time. We talk about this all the time about the fact that we're making these connections and having these relationships online, but we only meet once or twice a year, if that. But it's the moment that when we do meet in person, it's like, I know who you are. We've had discussions. We've gone in depth, right?
Yeah.
And so those real life moments when you do get to meet up are so special. So like super grateful for the whole community and the fact that we've been embraced as much as we have. And really just, honestly, if you had told me that, having this career, I would make lifelong friends, I would have laughed at you and been like, yeah, whatever. That doesn't happen.
I think that's the secret to all of it, right? Is like, now I go to conferences and they feel like high school reunions, except only the people I want to be there are there.
Right.
Actually, a great friend and also commercial real estate expert and people person, Garland Fuller, is here with me in Chicago. And, on the other side of the room, she wave in the background. But it's amazing because you make these friendships and you have this shorthand with each other. I have found it deeply unsatisfying to try to have conversations with my family and some other people in my life who don't know the industry, because the backstory and trying to get them to explain the complex dynamics, it's not the same as being able to talk to folks. Hi, Marcy. I owe you a response, and now you know why I haven't responded to you yet. I've been in Chicago. So Marcy is another one of those. We just have amazing communities all over the place. Another one that we're a big part of is the Globe Street Women of Influence community, which is incredible. And I mean, if you're not having fun doing the thing that you're doing for the bulk of your time, what are you even doing? Um, yeah, it's the biggest life hack to love the people that you work with and love the industry and all the things. And it's rare and special that we have that.
Yeah, I think this is a very I don't know, maybe it's just me. I do feel like this is a unique community that has been crafted and created, especially when, and for the most part, we want to build each other up. There's outliers, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. There are
I
outliers, but
do.
for the most
I
part,
do.
we are there to lift others up. So back in May, you talked about these touch points, and I
Yes.
thought that this was so fascinating because Fly and I talk about all the time how your
Hmm.
social media is your top of mind awareness. It's the top of
Mhm.
the funnel, and then the
Mhm.
next step, bringing them into your marketing ecosystem, is your website. And then from the
Mhm.
website where they can gather data or they can pull some kind of information, something that you're giving away, the whole goal for us and for our clients is to get them into your CRM. The point
Mhm.
being that you never know if one of these social platforms is going to go kaput tomorrow. Like, how do you stay
Yes.
in contact? Like, a lot of
Mhm.
these people that you connect with online, a lot of times they're not in your phone. You're not
Mhm.
texting them. You're not like us where we're having multiple conversations across multiple different platforms and through text
You were
message
though. You
and,
wish you
and
were.
voice memos, because voice memos are fantastic. Um, which, I mean, all of those are touch points, but
Mhm.
for what we're doing and trying to get people into that marketing ecosystem is getting them into the CRM. So let's talk about how touch points can turn those conversations into conversions.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of my favorite subjects, and I think it goes all the way back to when I first started my career after graduating as an art teacher, which was, a lucrative career field to pursue, and then not being able to find a teaching job because of legislation that removes, arts and specialty education from budgets. I had to figure out what I was going to do. And I somehow talked myself into a role in a family office as an executive assistant and met a mentor who is I've reconnected with, and now we share marketing ideas, we collaborate. His name is Chris Nolte. Big shout out, Senior Nolte. We worked at Marcus Investments together way back. But anyhow, one of the things that he did for me that was amazing was helped me to beat my learning curve, because going from teaching kids how to paint to learning about EBITDA was a climb. He gave me a book called Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. And that book I recommend to people all the time. And that really started for me like this idea of how you follow up with people, how you capture these micro interactions and micro moments with people to show people you care about them, to show people that you're different, to leave an impression. And so that book really instilled that in me. And so over the last, 15, however many years of my career, I've really tried to be thoughtful in the questions that I ask, the information I retain, how I use that information to reinforce and build and strengthen my relationships. And I came across this book in doing research for a keynote that I was giving called Key Person of Influence by a guy named Daniel Priestley. And Daniel Priestley has this 7-11-4 rule, which kind of blew my mind and really reinforced this idea. It's these micro moments and micro interactions over time, layered one upon the other, that really, build your, I guess, build your top of mind and all of that you're working to get all the time. So 7-11-4. 7 is this idea that people need to spend 7 hours with you or with your content. So 7 hours might seem like a lot. It's actually not. I'm probably up to, I don't know, 7,000 hours of Mo and Fly interactions and all of that. But it builds over time, and it's
Right.
across all these different channels. Daniel Priestley talks a lot about, using social media platforms, but I like to think about it as, maybe you bump into me at a conference. Maybe you watch a talk that I give. Maybe you tune into this right now, or maybe we have an interaction for 30 seconds in an elevator. It all compounds, right? And reinforces who we are. And that's why I think it's so interesting. And you and I and Fly have this conversation all the time, why people would show up differently online versus who they are in person. Because if we know that this compounding effect is happening, it's really like mixed messages, and it probably is working more against people than they realize. So that's 7 hours. It's 11 different interactions. Right. So just like I said, you're in the elevator, you're watching Social Surge, you're bumping into me at another conference. It's between that 7 hours, 11 interactions. And Daniel Priestley says 4 platforms, but I like to say 4 places. It could be a platform. It could be you're watching this on Instagram or X or whatever. But again, like, meeting someone in 4 different places, if you think about that, like I think about you, Mo, I don't think I've actually met you in 4 different places at this point in our friendship after, a few years and all of that. Maybe 4 places.
Yep.
I mean,
If you
I'm
think,
not counting the platforms. I'm counting just in
oh,
person.
oh,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm like, wait a minute, no, we text.
Yeah.
We're on LinkedIn and Instagram and X.
Yes.
4
In
places.
one day. Yeah, in one day.
We've met in Atlanta. We met in Vegas. Is
Okay.
that it?
Globe Street, 3.
Globe
3.
Street. Okay. I was
Okay.
like, wait, is that it?
But the point being is, like, you've got all these different ways of touching, reaching people, and people, I guess, once you become conscious of this 7-11-4, and what's the result, I guess, of the 7-11-4? I've buried the lead a little bit. It's that people know, like, and trust you and are ready to make a sales decision about working with you. And so if you're constantly showing up in the comments, not necessarily just of your own posts, but other people's posts, right? If you're doing the golden hour, which I talk about all the time, which is something that Mo taught me, if you're showing up 20 minutes before you post your content and you're actively engaging with other people's content, and then you post your own content, and then you're hanging around and you're interacting with the comments, and you've basically just like warmed up the algorithm to be nice to your content. And then
Right.
it's just all of these little things that we're doing, they compound. And over time, it's like, of course, I'm reaching out to Allison because I got value here, or I remember this thing that she said. Or, Mo, you have given, and you and Fly have given so much value to me personally in starting my mornings with you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's like, there's no other choice. There's no other choice than Mo and Fly.
I love that. And well, it's about, so we talk, Gary Vaynerchuk's very infamous for saying jab, 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 right hook, right? It
Yes.
is, you give, and then you ask. But it gets to be to the point where there shouldn't even, honestly, there shouldn't even have to be an ask, because of
No.
the fact that
Yeah.
you've provided so much value that person knows that's, you're the one I need to go to. When I have something that that's in your wheelhouse, I know immediately that that's who you're, the person that I need to talk to. And so it's the difference, particularly on social media, of just being salesy and just kind of, I don't want to say like verbal diarrhea, but there's a lot of people that do they do the social part of social
Yes.
media wrong, right?
Yes.
And I think that's why we have been able to create such a great connection between the 3 of us, and then just everybody else that we're connected with, is that regardless, we're providing value. I know I can get a call from from Corey Zelnick if he has a question Obviously another really good friend that I've
Mhm.
made because of this industry. But if he has a question about social or about marketing, he knows he can call me and
Mhm.
I will give him my advice. Um, whether it's generally it's like, no, you guys don't need, it's like, you guys don't need to do that. Like, what's the point? Like, why would you have to go off in that direction? I don't think,
Mhm.
from my perspective, I don't think that that's a good choice. And then to have people value your
Mhm.
opinion
Yes.
because you've shown up and given without asking in return. Obviously, we all want business, but for the
Yeah.
most part, I love sharing my life. I love sharing what I
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
with everybody. And if only one person's listening, awesome,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think
Well,
sometimes we get so stuck up in our brains about, oh, I've got to get more followers, I got to do this, I got to do that. We forget about the touch points. We forget about the relationship. We forget
yeah.
about the social aspect of social media.
Yeah. I love it. And I want to relate it to recruiting for just a second because I think recruiting and sales are so similar. This idea that I have seen when folks are going to recruit or they're going to try to sell something to somebody, it's almost like they forget how to be a person, right? And they turn into this robot and they're like, sales, 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 sales. And it's very, very weird. I know our in our Epic group chat, I shared recently a voice note that somebody had sent to me that was a perfect example of this. It's like no human being would ever say this or do this in a natural sort of setting. And I think too, as people, we gravitate towards the things that we're comfortable with, not necessarily what we think the other person might enjoy, or even just getting to know what somebody enjoys and engaging them at their level. And so for me, when I'm teaching and coaching primarily, I would say owners of companies, CEOs, principals who want to grow their brokerage teams, I'm talking to them about how they can build these relationships over time and turn their brand or their company into a magnet for talent. And so, some people are having the same recruiting lunch on a quarterly basis with the same candidate and not advancing the ball, and they continue to do that. Like, hey, let's, I understand it's busy now, let's catch up at the new year, let's catch up as soon as the kids are off of school, let's, they keep punting the ball down the field. And it's like, what are you doing in between those meetings? Are you, sending a note to someone when they do something that inspires you? Are you reading a book and then thinking about who are the 5 people that I know that'll benefit from this book and sending that book to that person, right? Small gestures. Not everything has to be grandiose and cost a lot of money. I know a lot of people are about to put lots of dollars into holiday gifting. And one of the things, Maria McCauley actually would be a great guest for you guys because she's a great marketer and gift giver. She has this talent, but really understanding who are the people you are giving gifts to and being really specific in those gifts, as opposed to, here's this branded tumbler or here's this, vest with my logo on it that you're probably never going to wear. There's all these different minute moments that we have to reinforce to people, not just we see them, but we appreciate uniquely who they are, and we want to honor that in different ways that are special. And I have a document that I created as a part of this recruiting keynote that I was giving to the executives of 2 different firms. I did it once on the same day in San Antonio. No, it was Dallas first. And then I flew to San Antonio and gave this talk twice in the same day to literally hundreds of executives who are running commercial real estate firms. And it's the 55 touch points that I came up with completely off the dome, no AI, nothing. So people don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can decide, oh, these few touch points feel really good for me, I'm going to fold these in. And it's like a reference that you could use, because we like this idea that we have to be creative with a gun to our head. Like, I think this is a social media thing. This is why a lot of people don't ever post anything, right? They wait to feel inspired for that moment and they wait to create in the moment, and the perfect circumstances never arrive for that creation. we don't have to make it super hard. You can use the 55 touch points. You can go through and even edit that document to make things sound more like you. And, even just that process of being creative and thinking through it and planning it out and putting it in your calendar is just you will not believe the response from people when you start to engage with them and care about them at this level. It's a really strategic thing, but it's really something that like is just as rewarding and exciting for you, the person who's doing it. Because I don't know if you've ever given someone that perfect gift or recommended a book to someone that like really changed their life and how meaningful that is. I'm talking about Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi that somebody gave me, my mentor gave me when I was literally like 23 years old.
Right.
It makes a huge difference. And you want to be that person who makes a huge difference in people's lives because they're excited to refer you. They're excited to give you their business. You don't have to ask for it, to your point. And crazy thing about, 6 years of CRE recruiting, I've never cold called. I mean, I hesitate to say that because I don't want folks to think that you don't have to cold call. I cold called in different parts of my
Right.
career, but I have magnetized myself because I have showed up in this way for years because I legitimately care about people and their businesses and want to help them.
I think people ask me like, how they've asked me like, how do I get business? Other people that I've talked to, because we had a mentorship group that we were working with. We'll probably pick it back up in the winter. Summertime is really hard because everybody's doing stuff.
Yes.
But they were asking me like, how do you get business? And I'm like, I show up.
Mm-hmm.
I have not cold called anybody in my business. I have consistently shown up online doing this since 2017, right?
Yeah.
Not in CRE. I didn't get
Yeah.
started in CRE until I hooked up with Beth Azor
Mm-hmm.
in 2001,
Incredible.
2021, excuse
21,
me,
2021,
2020,
post
21.
COVID. Yeah.
And so, but that's like, I've been showing up consistently, talking about marketing, talking about social, and so it's that consistency that that converts, but it
Mm-hmm.
also shows people that you're not going anywhere, right? That you
Mm-hmm.
are going to be here. So if you have questions, you DM me. Like, I'm not going to ignore you. The only thing that I don't like is when people ask me, can I pick your brain? And that really only happens locally. Like, that
Yes.
really, honestly, that happens. Like, can we go for coffee and I can pick your
Yeah.
brain? No. Like, no. If you want my advice, just please ask for it. If you want to try to distill the last 15 years of my life so that you can figure out how to market, no, I think I'm okay. I think I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good here.
I'm good. Yeah.
So one of the things that you said about sending gifts, it actually did make me think of Beth, and
Mm-hmm.
and not in the gift giving aspect, but she talks about the fact that when she's working with prospects or when she's connecting with people, if she sees a story or if she sees an article, she will
Mm-hmm.
actually link that article and send an email and say, hey, I just saw this, thought it was interesting, wanted to send it to you to see if you've seen it too, right? It's that little touch point. It's
Yeah.
that little thing where people are like, oh, you were thinking of me? Wow, that's
Yes.
crazy, right? Like, I can't believe that this made you think of me. And it starts that communication, it starts that open line again. Let me ask you though, can there be too many touch points too quickly?
Yes, yes. And so this is how I would relate it. Um, Love bombing is a thing, right? If
Oh,
you
wow.
are
Yeah.
a person who has dated, most of us on most of us have to varying degrees of success. There's a spectrum, right? I'm on one end of that spectrum and Mo is on the other. But this feeling where you are getting too much attention too fast is destabilizing, it's confusing. To some degree, it works on um it works on our psyche in a way that maybe if you don't have the attention, if you don't have the connection that you're looking for. It can feel like connection. But the the way I also relate this to is, you guys talk about the pitch slap.
Yeah.
And this idea of reading the room and knowing at what point can you advance the conversation. There are people that go from, again, to make a dating analogy, you just connected with me. We might have just matched on a dating app, and all of a sudden it's a marriage proposal. You would never do that. You would never do
Right.
that. It's so weird. And so thinking about, has someone tried to skip these steps with me? And if so, why?
Right.
I've had this happen before, and I'm sure you have too, where I feel like I have a good friendship or connection with someone. I'm in their city, we get together, we have a coffee, and at the very end of the conversation, the real reason for them wanting to connect with me comes out. And
The ick
I've
factor also comes out.
yes. And it is one of those things where I'm like, oh, I have been fooled.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Bamboozled.
That is the perfect word. I have been bamboozled. That's a t-shirt also.
Yes.
I have been bamboozled. I just think when you've had that happen, everybody knows that feeling. The ick is so real. You don't want to be the source of the ick. And I also think about this idea of reciprocity, and to the jab, 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 right hook point, hoodwinked. Absolutely. Rocky and Bullwinkle hoodwinked 100%. I think that reciprocity piece is so important. And if you haven't shown up in a way that builds a bridge for you to feel like it's okay to ask for something. The Benjamin Franklin effect will actually tell you that's wrong. You can ask for things before you've ever done a favor for somebody, and people will actually like you more. But there are people out there who have built entire lives and careers off of taking.
Yep.
And would you rather be known as the generous person who freely shares their expertise, knowing that in doing so, they can't necessarily do it without me or do it without you, Mo? Like, I'm not telling you that much and tactically walking you through step by step by step, and like taking your arms or taking your phone and doing it for you. We can't do that. But at the end of the day, that value that we've provided, that we don't have to get to the right hook. And that's an amazing feeling. You don't want to be in the position of, I think we've created this relationship with people where we get to be the choosers of who we work
Yes.
with, right?
Yep.
You're in this position of, I have a limited amount of time on this earth and to do the work that I'm doing. And I'm going to be very specific about the people I do it with and the people I put in my circle and in my
Yep.
group chats and all of these things, because that's the only thing that I have. And so then clients are reaching out to you, pitching you about why you
Yes.
should work with them. And it completely shifts the paradigm.
It does. And it's actually it's very fascinating when you tell someone, I do not think that this is a good fit,
Yes.
and then they argue with you as to why
Yes.
that you should work with them. And it's just like, you are a red flag. You are a forest of red flags from a marketing perspective, from a business perspective.
Yeah.
The way you've talked to me via email, the way you've talked to me on the phone or across the camera, the things that you've already asked of me, this is a no-go. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you down nicely.
Mhm.
And then they're like, in this economy, you shouldn't be turning down business. In this economy, I'm doing fine, and I
Yes.
can turn down business because it's more important to me to protect like
Yes.
my heart. It's more
Yes.
important to me to protect my head and
Yeah.
to know where my energy is going to be going. So I think it's a fascinating thing to do when you have provided all this value,
Mhm.
and you have people coming to you because they appreciate what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's a good place to be. So real quick
Yeah.
before we get off, because it is 6:30. Um,
Oh, by the way, I don't have to
this
rush.
economy.
This economy. Here's the thing too. I'm so glad that you brought that up in a funny way, Fly, because yes, the economy, but also that's not my reality. I am in a place of abundance and I am cultivating that energy and I am standing in that energy. And yes, this economy, but that's not my personal reality. So you can let that in and you can let that be the reason for why you're not successful or why you're not able to do the thing that you want to do, or you cannot participate in that as a reality.
I love that. So, rapid fire questions. What is your
Oh,
favorite way to follow up after an event?
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, favorite way to follow up after an event. I think what I try to find out about people is what is the interesting connective thread, right? The thing that they are uniquely excited about, interested in, what's keeping them up at night. Like, what is the thing that is on their mind? And who is another person who can help them, who has the same
Mm,
interests? Like, I try to make, and Allison Forgale talks about this in Likeable Badass as a strategy, and I've been doing it for a long time. So when I meet a person, I'm like, who are the two people that I can introduce this person to that will make a difference, make this person feel seen, heard, and understood, and show the person the value of cultivating a long-term relationship with me for whatever reason. For me, there's not necessarily a big motive to it. It's like, I love to help people. This idea of HOPE, the acronym, help one person every day. To your point, if we show up and do this for a half an hour, 45 minutes, we have a conversation we would have already in our group chats in a public way, and people get to listen to it. And one person is helped. Boom, done. It to me, like, that exchange, I feel really, really good about. And so that connecting a person to two people that are really going to add value, that I think is my favorite thing. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, you met such and such through Allison. I met such and such. You've created this like web of wonderful connections and interconnectivity. And now it's like all my friends are friends. And
yes.
to me, it's the best. Like, that's why my conference experiences are next level. And I want to have roommates at conferences because I have just cultivated this tight network of amazing, mostly women. There are some men, but that's that two connection thing, and it just multiplies exponentially.
I love that idea. And I know I'm as you're saying it, I'm thinking, I'm like, who has Allison connected me with? And I'm going on the list of people. I'm like, oh, okay, this person and this person. But that's exactly it. That's giving without expecting anything in return and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about what's best for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, super important when not only when you're just cultivating relationships and friendships, but when you're cultivating a community. Like, how can we
Yes.
build this community that's going to uplift and build one another up
Mm-hmm.
versus it's the dog eat dog world mentality. It's all for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get as much of my bag as I can, and I don't care about anybody else. Right.
Yes.
So one other question. What is one touch point that works all the time, every time?
One touch point that works all the time, every time. I would say figuring out who is the most important person to the person that you're talking about meeting with. Sometimes it's their kid,
Mm,
sometimes it's their dog, sometimes it's their business partner. Who is the most important person? And taking a non-weird level of interest in that and remembering that kind of stuff. I'm not saying like, I don't know if you remember the episode of The Office where Dwight Schrute steals Michael Scott's Rolodex, and he goes and he pitches this client and he's like, how is your gay son? 15. And he's like, he's like trying to relate. And Michael Scott's like, I coded that as green, as do not say that. And Dwight says it, and it's like, that's a weird thing to do. Don't do that. But if I remember, that my friend's kid or my client's kid is in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then I have a colleague who does Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I run into that colleague, I can say, who's a great YouTuber that I can recommend? And I'm just like thinking all the time about, again, how do I add value to not just this person, but who's important to this person? Because I think, again, you're just showing people I'm really listening to you. Like, this really
Mm,
matters to me. And it's not disingenuous. I guess if you were doing this all from like I'm a business robot, strategic place, it would be disingenuous. But for
right.
me, I'm like deeply interested and curious about people and what they care about and adding value. And so for me, every time I do something like that, it's a payoff and a reward. Like, from a dopamine standpoint, it makes you feel good to make other
Right.
people feel good and seen and heard. And so, like, why wouldn't you? Not just the person who's in front of you, but who's their most important person. For Chris Nolte, it was Susan, his wife, and he would say, "You're number one," every time he got off the phone with her. And so I would, every time I talked to him, like, how's number one? Like, how's number one?
Right.
That again is like such a difference maker, because it's not just him. Everybody, when you're a person who is at a private equity family office, people are sending you deals all the time, and there's lots of noise and lots of people who want your money, right? You've got to differentiate yourself. And so if I reach out to him and I start the conversation with, "Hey, how's number one? How are things?"
It
That's a
totally
different,
changes the tone of the conversation, right? Like it's
totally.
absolutely changes when it's that personal touch. It's
Mhm,
the intent of
mhm.
we don't have to talk about business. We don't have to talk about anything else.
No.
I want to know what's happening with you. What is
Yeah.
going on with you?
Yeah.
And being able to be relatable in that way is
Mhm.
is probably a lost art.
Yes. Caring about people and just being curious, I think, can be a lost art. But that's what I think, if that's who you are naturally, lean into that. Like, this idea that like networking is something other than just making friends, to me blows my mind. Like, you're overthinking it, overcomplicating it. Like, do you want more friends? Do you want to like have deep and fulfilling relationships and conversations with people, more than
Right.
like, "Hey, what inning do you think we're in, or what do you think is going to happen to interest rates? What is Jay Powell and the Fed going to do?" Like, boring, boring, boring. Like,
Right.
I want to have deeper conversations. Life is too short. We spend so much time working. There's just deeper connection, I think, available to all of us. And social media is a tool to cultivate that. And people underestimate the power. They're looking for the quick fix. They're looking for the engagement farm. They're looking for, let me put up a selfie every day and have vanity metrics. And, even though those people are not technically real people or in my industry anyway, like, you're gaming the system, but you're missing the whole point. You're
Correct.
missing the whole point.
You're missing the point of building a community. I always think about when I worked in radio and we worked with brand ambassadors,
Yes.
or our street team, right?
Mhm.
We wanted our street team. Our street team, these were the people that would help us out at events. They would help us
Mhm.
do whatever we wanted just because they wanted to be a part of something bigger, right?
Yeah.
They were rabid fans of the
Yeah.
station, of the DJs, and it's getting those people to be, and even on social, and really in social, getting those people to help you build a community
Mhm.
where you can have you can have people who are willing to stand by you, to back you up,
Mhm. Yes.
um to be your cheerleaders, right? And it's not because you're trying to get something from them.
No.
It's because
Yeah.
you're actually invested in their lives and you're invested in who they are, and they feel the same way about you.
Mhm.
We are coming up on, we've got to get going. But Allison, if people want to get and connect with you, if they want to get your document on your 55 touch points,
Yes.
how do they do that?
I would say probably LinkedIn is the best. I will make sure I have my assistant Jaja help me with some of the DMs. So if you want that document, just send me a DM. Yeah, I'm so excited to give this to people and help people. The holiday season is chocked full of opportunities for us to be really thoughtful and caring and smart in our business development and our follow-ups, and to build momentum going into 2026. And so reach out on LinkedIn, connect with me. You can find a lot of free content from me everywhere if you have questions about other parts of the work, that I have done. But yeah, LinkedIn is probably the place that you'll find me, or in the world's greatest group chat that I'm sorry you can't be a part of, with
No,
Mo and Fly.
no, no, you can't be a part of that group chat.
It's unhinged.
This is a little.
Deeply, deeply feral and sometimes disturbing, but it's the best.
It is the absolute best. Allison, thank you so much for joining me today here on Social Surge. I appreciate you. Once again, you are in Chicago. You are where?
At the MHI NCC conference, Manufactured Housing. Oh my gosh, initiative? No, this is embarrassing. We can't cut this. It's live. The MHI NCC conference. If you're hit me up.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. And everybody else, we'll catch you back here on Tuesday. Fly will be back. And of course, we'll be talking about the marketing ecosystem. This is Social Surge Live with Fly and Mo. We'll see you next week.